says hell, possible purgatory, but I'm not Catholic. Can you point me toward nirvana?
Have a seat.
Oh, I don't mean to presume I've achieved enlightenment or anything, but if you could just point me toward Eastern religions.
Sit.
I'm not supposed to be here.
If I had a dime for every time I heard that.
But I'm Hindu.
And I'm Satan. Sit.
Satan, the Satan. Where's your horns, your capes, your pointy tail?
At the dry cleaners. Now, if you would sign here and here, you'll be on your way.
What is all this?
This one is our privacy statement, promising we won't share your information with any other entity, celestial or otherwise. This one holds us harmless for all loss or damage on account of injury or illness, including burning by fire and brimstone, eternal suffering, eternal drowning, and any other torment as assigned.
A liability waiver in the afterlife.
This place is lousy with lawyers. This one here acknowledges that you've committed one or more of the 7 deadly sins and you realize it's time to pay up.
I'm afraid I can't sign. We Hindus don't believe in hell. Or heaven, for that matter. I'll just be on my way to enlightenment.
Sit down! Do you think it's easy being Satan? I don't have time for your yoga path to liberation crap.
I think we've gotten off on the wrong foot. This is the first time I've died, at least consciously anyway. I choked on a tofurkey kielbasa. It was a horrible, embarrassing way to die. I kept thinking, was I Mama Cass in a previous life? Anyway, being newly aware of death, I'm not sure how this works. Why am I here?
According to your file, you've done something bad that needs purging.
In my religion, the concept of sin doesn't exist. Only karma. Living spiritually in a state of love and compassion can help soften negative karma of the past and generate positive karma for the future.
In reality, if you've committed one deadly sin, you're permitted to enter purgatory, where you'll be tortured for 30 to 40 years until you atone for it. Then you'll earn your little wings in a condo on the streets of gold. If you've committed more than one deadly sin, well, it's straight to hell. Do not pass go.
But I'm on a path toward unity with God. I'm supposed to be reincarnated so I can come back to cut greenhouse gas emissions and reverse global warming.
Lucky for you, delusional is not one of the 7 deadly sins.
Wait a minute. If you're really Satan, what are you doing sitting in this tiny little office shuffling papers? Just what is your job anyway?
I am God's adjudicator. I test people's virtues and report their failures. Where you go from here is up to a complicated set of rules established by the church with Mr. Omnipotent's blessing.
You're God's adjudicator? I thought St. Peter helped.
He's just the bookkeeper. Surely you've heard of Job. That little brown noser I tormented with poverty and boils and death of his children, just to see if he would turn away from God? Or when Junior and I hung out in the desert for 40 days so I could tempt him. I almost had him with that all the kingdoms of the world bit.
So, the Catholics, they were right all along.
I love this part. When I get to tell all you good people that your enlightened path leads straight to the dark bowels of hell.
Must go my happy place.
Never were baptized, huh? Said confession? Taken communion?
Oh my God! This can't be happening! I was a good person!
Well, that's what we're here to disprove. deadly sins are?
Well, I spent my whole life trying to do the right thing. I kept my air conditioning set at 82 so I'd use less energy. I bought clothing made only from organically grown cotton, picked by workers who earned living wages. I gave up steak.
Let's review the 7, shall we? Now. Envy, wrath, sloth, lust, greed, gluttony, pride.
There. See? I haven't committed any of those.
What about lust?
You have. I wasn't. I was celibate.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was celibate. Okay.
That should be a deadly sin. Now, according to your file, you were envious once.
When?
Says here that you once prayed that your sister would be abducted by an alien, so you could have her Malibu Barbie dream house. God, you were a brat back then.
I was 5 years old. You can't hold that against me. Isn't the age of reason 7?
True. Now, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to answer with the letter that best describes how you would respond if you were put in these situations. You're walking in a verdant field. The wind is blowing softly against your face, and you come across a box. You open the box.
I would never do that. It isn't mine.
You open the box, and a handsome prince steps out. Do you A, ask him where he came from, B, stuff him back inside the box, or C, rip off his clothes and make passionate love to him over and over?
I would ask him if he needed help, of course. I mean, someone put him in a box and dumped him in the middle of a field.
A, B, or C?
None of the above.
You're at a restaurant with someone who is offered to pick up the tab. Would you A, order the most expensive item because you couldn't afford it yourself? B, order the least expensive item because you would feel guilty if you didn't? Or C, order whatever your companion is having?
What are the items on the menu?
It doesn't matter. Just answer the question.
But it does matter if the most expensive item is wild-caught salmon, and the least expensive is the breast of a chicken that was raised in a tiny little cage and shot full of steroids. Well, I would have to order the most expensive item. If my companion were having pasta primavera, I would have to order that. Assuming, of course, that the vegetables were in season and had been grown by local farmers who used sustainable practices.
I bet you were a real pain in the ass at restaurants.
I was very careful about what I ate. I bought free-range eggs and dolphin-safe tuna. I drank fair trade coffee grown in shaded conditions to help protect the habitats of songbirds. I prided myself on...
Aha! Strike one.
Oh, that isn't an evil kind of pride. Can't one be proud of doing the right thing?
Not according to the 7 deadly sins law.
I protest! I won't sign any of these papers. I exercise my right to appeal.
You don't have any rights. You're dead.
There must be someone I can turn to around here. Where's God, for Christ's sake?
He's up in heaven with all the good people.
I can't believe this. All that time I spent chanting and meditating and wearing unflattering loose clothing meant nothing?
Yep.
What's going to happen to me?
You're in luck. You qualify for the Dante's special. You get to live beneath 2 trees that bear organically grown fruit. But you don't get to pick them and will starve.
That's so cruel.
After 3 decades, you'll be freed to be with your Lord and... Oh, wait a minute. I was wrong. You're not going to purgatory. You're going straight to hell!
What? No, why?
You've committed a 2nd deadly sin.
That's impossible!
Oh, it's quite possible. The church designed it that way.
What? Tell me! What possible deadly sin could I have committed that would send me straight to hell?
Gluttony.
Ha! You lose, Satan! I was no glutton. My friends complained I ate like a bird.
I'm afraid there's a little known clause in gluttony. Subsection 2, paragraph 10. It states, and I'm quoting from Thomas Aquinas now, that one commits the sin of gluttony when one eats too soon, too expensively, too much, too eagerly, too wildly, and too daintily.
Too daintily, but why? What harm could that do to other people or the world?
Obsessing about food, whether too little or too much, keeps the soul from communing with God. He's insanely jealous. Trust me.
I don't believe God is that petty and judgmental. Whatever happened to hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins?
That was so Old Testament.
For God so loved the world,
that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
You believe, or you wouldn't be using Catholic doctrine to prey on people's weaknesses. Yet here you are, sentenced to the life of a bureaucrat.
I am not a bureaucrat. I'm God's adjudicator.
You have no power. You do nothing more than fill out forms.
I do too have power. I condemn people to eternal suffering.
Based on rules of the church, not your rules.
But it's my interviews that bring out the sins that condemn people according to the church's laws. That takes skill, you know. Persuasiveness, cunning, finesse.
You probably don't get much credit for all the work you do around here, huh?
Nobody appreciates how I slave in this office, doing God's dirty work. And what do I get? A promise that one day I'll rule the earth again? That was 6,000 years ago!
Detach yourself from the opinions of others, from the ego mind. Embrace your true self, your Satanist. Just breathe, accept, be. Breathe with me.
This is ridiculous.
When was the last time you relaxed? Come on, breathe with me. I dare you. Just relax. Breathe in for 4 counts and out for 4 counts. That's right. Keep breathing. As Mahatma Gandhi said, I offer you peace. I offer you love. I hear your need.
I have so many needs.
I feel your feelings.
So many feelings.
Let us work together for unity and love. Let us change these forms so Wendy can live eternity in a heavenly state.
Nice try, Miss Glutton, but it isn't going to work.
Come on! You're relaxed for the first time in 6,000 years, admit it!
I may have felt some tension release, yes.
Well, that's what happens when you breathe, focus, and find your center.
What would people think if they saw Satan meditating?
That doesn't matter. Once we focus on ourselves and our connection to the rest of the universe, what others think is just an illusion. Like,
What now?
mistaking a rope for a snake. In Twilight, man sees a rope and thinks it's a snake. He feels fear, but it isn't based in reality. It's Maya, an illusion.
Yeah, so?
Only when we surrender our ego can we achieve true happiness.
What does that even mean?
That none of this is real. It's all based on my fear of the unknown and my need to defend my own accomplishments.
That is gibberish.
No, that's enlightenment.